welcome back to Zack of All Trades. My need for snowshoes has become real. Yeah, I'm up north. I needed some snow, and so here I am. But the problem is that I didn't have time before I left home to get both of my snowshoes woven. I did get one most of the way done. I did film it. The video turned out terrible. It was at a terrible angle. You couldn't even really tell what I was doing, and I was pretty rushed, so I wasn't doing a very good job of making a video. So, fortunately, I've got another one to do. I'm going to bring you along with me, and I'm going to explain a little bit as to what I'm doing. And I don't know, this is the first time I've ever done, well, I guess it'll make the second time I've ever done this, so I just barely know what I'm doing, but hopefully it will be explanatory some. Okay, first things first, the rope that I've got is 1/8 inch nylon. 1/8 inch nylon rope. The most common modern replacement for your rawhide is nylon neoprene blend. So I got as close as I could find at the Home Depot, and wouldn't you believe it, they didn't have a nylon neoprene blend. So I got this. I read somewhere that it said to start out with 13 yards, which is more or less 50 feet. It turned out 13 yards isn't quite enough. So on the other one that I did, I got, I don't know, I think I was probably 5 or 6 feet short. If you're able to, somehow do yourself a favor and keep this stuff all bundled up while you're using it. Cord management became a pretty big problem for me on the last one, because I've got miles of, I've got 50 feet of rope that I'm pulling through places. So, and I still don't know what's the best way to do this, because I have to pull it through a loop. If you can keep it in the bag or keep it somehow wound up so that you don't have a big ball of rope all over the place, that's helpful. Next, moving on, I found some instructions with a good numbering system, and this was actually on a forestry website of some sort. I'll put a link down in the description. It was pretty cool. Had kind of instructions on a few different sorts of snowshoes and a few different lacing styles. It's got the main part, and then it's got a separate one for the bottom and a separate one for the top. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lace the center part. I think that given the type of snow that I'm dealing with here, that will be just fine. So like I said, I'll put a link to this in the description, but it gives a good clear description of where you go. Just connect the dots like when you're a kid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down to 6, over to 7. So it's going to go in this kind of crazy pattern, and it's important to make sure that you get your lefts on top and your rights on bottom, or vice versa, as long as you're consistent with it, because your webbing has got to support itself, and this is very intentional about doing that. So I've got it all marked off so that I don't have to constantly be going back and forth with the paper. I probably still will be anyway, but yeah, that's about it. So let me get it started here. So I'm not sure what this sort of knot is called really. Are you going to go over the top, and we come back down underneath and through, and so it makes kind of a hitch sort of knot. That's the same sort of knot that we're going to be using for the whole process. I didn't question why this is the knot of choice, but I figure after generations of people making snowshoes, if this is the knot to use, then this is the knot to use. So what we're doing here is at this point right here, we're making an extra strong spot, because your toe is going to sit about here. The ball of your foot is going to be about here. So you want extra strength right there where it sort of pivots. Here, up and over there, onto there, back here. Now we're going to start just working our way down, now that we've gone back and forth a bunch of times with this one. Over to 7, like so. We're going to go over the top of the crossbar. Then we're going to wrap on 2, maybe 2 or 3 that we need. I think 2. And now from here it starts getting silly, because now we need to go underneath the heavy bit, back up over under this guy. Then we're going to come all the way down to number 9, which is right down here in the center. We're going to go over, start going over, come up underneath, loop it over. Over here we went under. This diagonal is going underneath the horizontal. Over here it's going to go over the top of the horizontal. This is how we do the whole alternating business. So we'll go over the top of that horizontal, over the top of that horizontal, and then over the top of this guy. Wrap it a couple of times underneath and under. And I think that happened properly. Under that one, over that one, under, up, and around. That, my friends, is the end of it. I'm going to go ahead and go through and tighten it all up everywhere that I can. Pull out a little bit of the slack. I want to have that as tight as I can. And then I will do the next part, which I'm going to reinforce this and then put a binding on it. And I think it's going to be time to go. Here is the reinforcement that I'm talking about. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go around this group of 4 cords. Just going to go around it like so. And that's going to kind of serve 2 purposes. It's going to both reinforce it, and the other thing that it's going to do is it's going to keep these guys right here from sliding, especially since that's where most of your friction is going to be. That's where your foot's going to be doing that business. So this will hold it in place. And then as soon as we get this done, time for a binding and maybe a field test. There we go. Now that looks like a snowshoe, don't it? I've been researching for trying to find a binding, what to do for a binding for snowshoes. It seems as though there's all manner of leather or metal or all sorts of complicated bindings, but I just couldn't escape the idea that snow people have been attaching snowshoes to their feet since way before we had fancy bindings. So I dug around a little bit and I found a couple of different binding methods. The one that I like the most, I don't know, on paper anyway, is called the lamp wick method, called so because the material that was used was a wide kind of cotton webbing whether it really was lamp wick or not. It was like lamp wick. And here's how it goes. Go underneath here, kind of at that intersection. Go underneath there at that intersection. You're going to pull it up until it's about even here, right? And now, right over here, we're just going to wrap this a handful of times, maybe 6 or 7 times. And now you stick your foot in there and you pull this pretty tight. Once you've got it there, you grab it, and you're going to do the same thing over here. You're going to wrap it that handful of times. You just put your toe in there. It's nice and tight. And now you go around the back of your foot and either tie it there, or if you've got the lace to do so, bring it back up and tie it here. And now you have a snowshoe bound to your foot. Let's get outside and give them a try. I'm gonna go ahead and call these snowshoes successful. I've been out here trudging around for the better share of 2 hours, and I'm quite happy with them. Now, the keen observer might note that I'm walking around on some pretty hard, crusty snow, which kind of, you know, does that warrant the use of snowshoes? Because you can walk on top of the snow. If you've ever walked around in crusty snow, you know that it can be some of the worst snow to try to walk around in. It's where it's just crusty enough to hold most of your weight, and then you sink through, and most of your weight, and then you sink through. That will take the energy out of you faster than any snow that I'm aware of. So that's actually kind of what I was preparing for by making these snowshoes. I figured the snow was going to be like this up here. So just for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and take the snowshoes off and show you what it's like for me to walk. I'll just walk that same path right next to where I was just walking and show you what it's worth. So as you can see, you can walk on top of the snow, but it is that kind that supports you some of the time, most of the time. So I'm super stoked with these snowshoes. I mean, look at them. They even look like proper Alaskan snowshoes, right? So like I said, I'm going to call them a success and put them back on here. And I'll take you along with me and we'll just do some walking through the woods. How's that sound? Most all of my life, I have been a huge fan of winter. Just the crispness of the air, I don't know, there's a certain clean that comes with a whole blanket of snow. Not that I don't love what is the forest floor, but there's something about when you have a whole snow cover that just makes everything clean. And so my biggest reason why I'm up here right now is my soul was longing for some winter, and I don't have any winter time. Well, not this kind of winter time in the place where I live now, so I was able to get away for a few days and just come up here and check out our future homestead in the wintertime, in the deep snow, and kind of do a little bit of, I don't know, maybe a little bit of planning, a little bit of dreaming, get some stuff figured out. Part of what I'm trying to figure out is where to build a house. Where do you plant a house? And all the things that need to be considered with that. Prevailing winds and sun direction and privacy and all that other stuff. And it's hard to do that when you got the whole hustle of life going on. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of checking out checking out some of these spots that I have in my mind that might be a good place for a house, and spending some time all by myself with the Lord out in nature.